Congratulations, Honorable. Honorable, I think you've been a DC and you had a MC and you had a lot of challenges during your reign. What are some of the challenges in the local government system you want to address?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, that I've been at the DC for 8 years, and you're looking at the challenges that we have in the system. Decentralization presupposes that we move governance to the doorsteps of the people. And one of the instruments that should be used in this bit is to put into place the municipal assemblies. And then for these municipal and district assemblies and metropolitan assemblies, we are supposed to have DCs in place. One of the challenges that we have had over time is that we have a democratic system right from the top, where you have the president elected. You come to the members of parliament, they are elected. You go to even the lower levels, the assembly members, they are elected. Then in between, we slot in a chief executive who is appointed. And when you have a situation like that, you're going to have some credibility issues with the DCs. To that extent, the DCs, because they are appointive, they come and their relationship with the environment within which they are supposed to operate is one that takes them out of the local base. That is why you have a lot of conflicts in the way the assemblies operate, particularly at the level of the chief executives. That is why we think that for us as a party, we must tie in the loose bit and elect the DCs. When we elect the DCs, then they will have this credibility. The people would also know that they relate to them. The chief executives also feel that they relate to the people, and therefore their relationships would augur well for the development of this country. So that is one area which is a challenge, which we want to address by the decision to elect DCs. Besides that, district assemblies have a problem. The problem they have is that they have tended to look at the central government releases as the only source of revenue for their development, to the extent that the basic function of generating revenue, which should occupy them, is sometimes relegated. Sometimes you don't understand how big assemblies like Kwasi Metropolitan Assembly can collect only 30% of total revenue. And perhaps one reason why the assemblies are not doing much is that
when you were MC, what percentage were you collecting at Koforidua?
Oh, Koforidua, we're doing very, very well, very, very well.
What percentage?
Oh, averagely, we're doing about 75%. Averagely,
okay.
We're doing about 75%.
You never reached your 890 or more.
Oh, there was an instance where we did more than 100%. That was when we revalued our properties. That gave us a bigger base from where we could collect revenues. So with the issue of the resources and how to mobilize the resources, the assemblies have been failing in that area. And I think that we should put in place structures that will make them perform better in that regard. And I think that one of the things that we can do, for which the assemblies are not doing well, is to look at the data. Look at data capturing, because there are a lot of businesses, there are a lot of properties which are not captured in the assembly's data. For all such ratepayers, they don't pay what is due to the assemblies. So it is important that we work on that and get the right data. And when you get the right data, then we should be able to handle the collection in a much more efficient manner. One other area of a problem is with the staff who are into the revenue collection. There are too many leakages in the system. And part of the problem is that you don't have the scientific basis. And therefore, if you task people to go and collect revenues, there is no basis for assessing them. And to that extent, a gold mine sort of is created for the revenue collectors.
So it may well be the case that even your 100% and over 100% with true data, that will be only about 20% or less.
That's true, Mr. Chairman. So I think that for us to be able to get the best out of the local government system, particularly with revenue mobilization and utilization, we need to work on the data and then also do capacity building for the staff to ensure that we can get the kind of money that we require for the local level economic development.
Mr. Nomini, I think the area council are supposed to help in the attainment of the goals of the ministry. Are you sure the area councils are doing their work? And if not, what are you going to do with the area councils?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. You are talking about the substructures of the assembly. And these substructures are not doing well because, one, they are starved of resources. When you go to the assembly system, you go to any assembly, Sunyani municipal or Dujabi municipal. What you have is that you have a lot of administrative officers at the central assembly level. But when you go down to the area where the people are supposed to work, they are not staffed. Sometimes you have the substructures not having the right complement of staff. What you have is sometimes national service personnel who are posted there, and their period of stay is for only that short period. To that extent, they don't impact positively on the development in the assembly. So as for the substructures, we need to work at the substructures. We have reduced the numbers of the unit committees, but we should be able to look at the system, those who would work at that level. Because if we're able to do that, then we can improve upon our revenue performance. We can improve upon other service deliveries that we are supposed to do at the local level. Once we don't have those structures in place, it becomes difficult for us to be able to get the results that we want.
Honorable Kwasi Boateng Adjei, congratulations. I have just been perusing your CV, and you were fortunate to benefit from the benevolence of His Excellency President Kufuor. Served as DCE for 8 years. It means you have a wealth of experience as far as district, municipal management is concerned. I want to take you to the Laura District Assembly, which is one of the assemblies in the country with a high incidence of poverty. Vis-a-vis your argument about revenue collection in the Kufodria Metropolitan Assembly, Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly, largely because of the high incidence of economic activity. You can only mobilize revenue for the district if there is a massive economic activity going on in these areas. In the case of Laura District and many others, there's maybe very little economic activity going on. So there is no revenue to collect. Now, going to the local government ministry, I want to know from you what your views are in respect of those districts that are poor, with high incidence of poverty. How are they going to engender revenue for development if they don't rely solely on the releases coming from central government?
I think that every district has something that it can point to as some income generating thing. Every district has it.
Ito brewing is not you can't charge people.
Every district has something. But I also appreciate the kind of problem that you are talking about, particularly with reference to your district. Perhaps that is why part of the mandate of the ministry is to work on ensuring that local economic development is enhanced through some poverty alleviation and income generating businesses so that the districts can also pick themselves out. I think also that where a special case is made, I find it difficult because the districts are supposed to be created, and the basis for the creation of the districts is that they must be financially viable. They are supposed to be created on that basis. So,
Honorable of me, supposed to. They have been created. The evidence is that they are not viable. How do you help them?
Yeah, so that's why I'm saying that if they are not in a position to pay because of the poverty levels, I think that something can be done. But even there, in the use of the formula for providing resources to district assemblies, there's something that we call the need factor. All these factors are taken as indicators in determining the ways that would be applied so that District A, as against District B, would be provided the resource based on what is the problem there. I'm sure Laura will be benefiting from this arrangement. But I think that if it becomes necessary that some bailout should be done, perhaps the ministry can look at it and see what can be done with your particular problem.
My next question, in the whole of the Upper West region, we have new districts have been created, and there's only one municipal assembly, which is the Wa Municipal Assembly. Now, some of the very old districts are clamoring for municipal status. In the manifesto of the New Patriotic Party, this has been aptly captured. I want to know from you, do you hold the view that a municipal status given to a district will probably help speed up its development in terms of the allocations and the development that will come, especially in areas where the incidence of poverty is so high?
Mr. Chairman, there are clear guidelines for the establishment or for the creation of either district assemblies, municipal assemblies, or metropolitan assemblies. I can tell you that whilst I was MC for New Jabin, together with the Omahini, we had pushed for the elevation of New Jabin to a metropolitan status. But one of the problems that we have had was with the population size, because the population size is indicative of which category of the assemblies you could fall under. But if you have this arrangement in place, I'm sure it's not a question of asking to become a municipal assembly or asking to become a metropolitan assembly that would address the problem. It's not a solution to the problem. If you are a district assembly and you can harmonize the resources there, you put them to good use to develop the area, then you can gradually aspire towards a municipal status. Because for a municipality, the size of the population, you ask for other facilities, they must all be there. You can't have a situation where you have only one secondary school in your area and you say you want to become a municipal assembly. So those facilities go to make up what the requirements are, for which reason a district can be made a municipality or a metropolitan area.
Honorable
Follow up.
You're done.
Follow up.
You're done.
Mr. Chairman, a follow up, please.
No, you're done. Honorable Malcolm, it's your turn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Honorable, back to the election of the DCEs, which is captured in our manifestos, and very soon the next election, Assembly's election, we are hoping to go, have this DCEs elected. What is your take on this? Do you foresee any challenges, and what precautionary measures are you going to advise your minister with?
The party has taken a position. It's captured in our manifesto. And I alluded to that fact when I said that it's long overdue that we should be able to get the DCs elected. I believe that even when you get the DCs elected, the problems that we have with DCs and then MPs will be addressed. Because one, the DC would also be elected, he would have permanency of office or of tenure, and then you will not come worrying the MP who is currently in place. So the election of the DCs is something that we need to really work at. And I think that the problems that we can talk about or the challenges that we can talk about would have to deal with the law, because we need to amend the law to be able to make the DC position an elective position. That has to be done, and my minister and the ministry has a program within the next 2 years to try and get this done, so that by the time we get to the district assembly elections, we can then also elect the DCs and put them in place.
Former DC, long-standing one, would you recommend or push for the tenure, the term of the presiding members to be extended to the tenure of the assembly? That's the 4-year term.
I think that if we elect the DCs, then the tenure of the presiding members should also go to 4 years. Should also go to 4 years, because the original arrangement that we have is that you elect the presiding member for 2 years, and then if he has to come back, he has to go through elections, or he has to be approved by the assembly for him to go for a second term. But so I believe that 4 years would tap into the experience that they would have had in the last two years or the first term. And I think that will endure to the benefit of the assembly. So I think that it would be a good idea to have these presiding members go for 4 years.
Thank you. So, you have done 2. You are done. Thank you. Okay. As Honorable Patricia Adjei.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Honorable, I have 1 or 2 issues that I want us to look at. The nominee who just left us was prescribing that the MMDAs, if they are going to be vigilant, can help to address the issue of Galamsey. Honorable, do you think we have a structure in the MMDAs? Specifically, do we have a committee on science, technology, mining, and all those things to address this particular issue? And how would you recommend something of this nature? Do you intend recommending a committee of this nature to your minister? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think that the issue of Galamsey has become, in fact, we have reached crisis point with the issue of Galamsey. And even though we don't have the committee that you are alluding to in the assembly presently, this has become some emerging issue which has to be dealt with. But even that notwithstanding, the assembly has structures to deal with matters that relate to security. Matters that relate to security. Because the chief executives, they are supposed to be the chairman of the district security committees. And I'm sure if you have a problem of Galamsey in the district, and the DC or the committee is looking on unconcerned, then it's like we are sitting on a time bomb. So even now that we don't have these structures, that we don't have the science environment committee at the assembly level, I think that they are still equipped with the tools to be able to deal with this matter and deal decisively with it. Again, some of these things the assemblies are supposed to work with the Minerals Commission in providing licenses. There are some winning licenses. There are mineral licenses, which are given out by the Minerals Commission. But at the end of the day, the basic units where these activities are performed is the assembly. And so, we shouldn't wait until...
Honorable, let me find out. When people apply for licenses to mine or wind sand or small-scale mining, you see that they have some maps pasted on the notice board. I don't know who they intend to see that. And then after 21 days, they said, we have publicized it, so we should go ahead. Which committee of the assembly oversees that? Plotting the map on the ground to determine that where you applied for is exactly where you have been given.
The assembly is supposed to have the statutory planning committee. We have the district engineer. We have the environmental people. It's an expanded body, which is supposed to be taking a look at some of these things. But I agree with you. They would bring the plan. It gets pasted for 21 days, and that's about it. But sometimes the assembly would have to be proactive. If you are a chief executive and that document is brought to you, I think you don't have to sit in your office and wait for them to go ahead and do the mineral prospecting or the sand winning kind of thing. You need to follow up. In some cases, we followed up. And then even with sand winning, for instance, when they do the sand winning and they finish with the exercise, the law requires them to do the filling in. They don't do it. The assemblies don't go to check. And at the end of the day, it becomes a problem for all of us. So I think that the assemblies can still do their bit to try and handle this business of galamsey and the environmental degradation that we have. But I agree that, yes, we need to get the structures properly mainstreamed so that we can have somebody in the assembly take care of this business and follow up so that we can ensure that these issues don't become a problem for all of us.
The need for this particular committee to exist within assembly. I'd like to ask you, do you think the application of modern technology can improve on IGF collection? If true, which examples can you give out as a means of improving on our IGF collection?
Technology has a role to play in our revenue mobilization business. I talked about the absence of data. And there are very innovative ways, new ways by which you can capture data on even properties. GIS systems, which are geographic information systems, which can be used to capture data. And if you have the assemblies, the payment has to be facilitated for the ratepayers, the people who pay. Most times, people do not want to pay because they complain that they don't see what the assemblies do with their monies. And I'm sure if we invest in the technology and then also utilize the resources that come our way to put up the kind of services for the people, they will feel encouraged to pay these rates. And technology will come in to be a backup to ensure that information flow is readily available for these businesses to be pursued.
Thank you. What I found was that on the desk of the head of the revenue department, every house, a shaman, not a shaman, every house is plotted. And so at the beginning of the year, issues letters, and they are delivered specifically to the house. If you pay and they enter, it will show green. on his computer. If you don't pay, as long as it's outstanding, it shows red and they know where to track. That is a shaman. So it can easily be done by doing the GS mapping and plotting the houses. So it's a good suggestion that you want to look at. Honorable Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the nominee said that the election of DCs will help minimize the conflict between DCs and members of parliament. We are not electing DCs immediately, so very soon the president will nominate people to be DCs, and we have elected members of parliament. Apart from electing DCs to minimize the conflict, what are the other causes that bring about this misunderstanding between DCs?
The problem of conflicts that we have between DCs and MPs, there are quite a lot of problems, a lot of causes. I talked about the fact that somebody becomes a DC, then he's supposed to, in theory, he's supposed to work with his MP. In fact, for 8 years, I never had that problem. In fact, for 8 years, I never had that problem because I dealt with Honorable Hakmuzo Ajma, who is my mentor, and I had no problem with him. So I didn't have that kind of problem. So I think that the problem too is with some personality. There are some personality issues that we need to bring into focus. Because sometimes some people come, they want to become DC, then they are eyeing the MP's position. So when you have a situation like that, then this problem is likely to come up. And then I think that people would have to play by the rules. People have to play by the rules. Sometimes you have a situation where some people are pushed. In these things, you have forces stacked this way behind the DCs, that way behind the MP, because the MP goes to Parliament, and then the DC is the man on the ground. And sometimes whatever they want to do is to run you down as a member of Parliament and provide an opportunity for the DCs to take over from you. So that is what they will do. So a veritable ground is provided for this kind of conflict that exists between the DC and the MPs. Sometimes the problems also come from our party. The parties, I will say the parties because it happens all over. So the parties sometimes also have a role to play in these conflicts that we have. Because DC position, that's why I like the idea of the elections. Because DC, when you go there 2 years and you are not fired, then you are lucky. You are lucky because everybody looks up to you because you are the closest person to them. They cannot go to the president. You are the closest person to them. And so if they have any problems, they will come to you. And if you are not able to address those problems for them, then wahala, you have a problem.
If the proposal by the Committee of Experts for the 1992 Constitution, they had proposed that we should have a system where we elect assembly members, and then the assembly members would elect one of their number to be the chief executive, which was rather changed by the consultative assembly. Would the problem have been resolved in a way if we had accepted that proposal?
We have to allow democracy to work. The chief executive is going to serve the entire number of persons within that locality. So the people should exercise a mandate over him. They should vote for the election of the DC. What was proposed was going to just temporarily postpone the kind of problem that we have.
They either not take permits or permits are delayed, and therefore they go ahead to build. You've been a chief executive before, and chief executives are chairmen or chairpersons of the statutory planning committees, what do you think we can do to ensure that people don't build before they are permitted to build?
The problem we have with permitting is that when somebody has a desire to build and he has the money, he normally will not want to wait for the period of time that one would have to go through, secure a permit before the building starts. So the assembly has to be proactive and quicken the process. Take this message to the people, encourage them to come for the permits. Because whether you give the permit or not, they will build. They will build. And most times, we don't have the political will or courage to go and pull down the building. And if we don't quicken the permitting function, and we cannot also pull down the buildings, then we have a serious problem. So the assemblies have to be proactive. Sometimes we need to get, and Mr. Chairman, another problem too is that the unit that has responsibility for ensuring that these things get done, they are also starved of resources. You go to the assemblies, they call them building inspectors. If it's a one-man department, he doesn't have a motorbike, he doesn't have anything, and you have a city that is growing like Adenta or Accra or Koforidua or Kumasi. How does this person monitor the system? So sometimes those people go out there, they see the people building, they go and write on the building stop work, the people continue building. And before you are aware, the building is complete. So the assembly has to be proactive. And I think that if we facilitate the function of permitting in such a way that the people can have it easily, then they can be encouraged to take the permits and build according to the layout arrangements that we have. So that is one of the problems that we have, and I think that we need to really look at it.
Honorable nominee, is it not the case that we are making excuses for lawlessness? The law is clear. If you don't have a permit, don't build. But we make excuses because, oh, we are not fast, we are not this. If we are slow, it is because we are not actually also charging the commensurate fee to employ the people who can do it. And so let's stop making excuses. Let's apply the law we ourselves have made.
I think you are right, but I'm also talking from the point of the practical issues which are involved. Because I have had, when I was at the MCE for New Jabin, somebody went and overnight put up a structure at the main market, right in front of the market, the main entrance to the market. The next morning, it was there. I went in, I saw it. I called the person who gave you the authority to do it. He couldn't even put his finger on who gave him the permit. So I said, okay, fine. So I went back and asked the West Unit to get a bulldozer to go and knock it down. So sometimes you can do things like that, but some other times it becomes difficult. The law should work, but the assembly must also position itself in such a way that all those processes that one would have to go through before a permit is given is made possible for the person to take a permit. I think that both ways we should be able to address this problem that we have.
I believe yours is one of the ministries which has 3 deputies, and you have a very illustrious minister as well. How are you going to relate to each other? And what assurances can we get from you that there will not be any internal fires raging in your ministries because of turf wars? 3 men one woman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What would I say? The minister has been my boss since 2001. Then she was the deputy minister for local government, and I've worked very closely with her for all this while. Obi, senior deputy Obi is also somebody that I've known for quite some time. And so, Collins Intim, who is also a deputy in the ministry. Collins was my colleague at the time when I was a chief executive in New Jabi. He was chief executive at Ofinso. So it's a team that we had known ourselves, a very powerful team, and we are going to work together, and we are going to push the decentralization agenda.
And you have a senior deputy, so the deputy will make sure there's order. All right. Honorable Vice Chair, do you have a question? Sorry, you have one more question. Please, Nikwate. Please. You don't have an opportunity this time. I allowed her because she hasn't asked any question today. So please, you have had so many opportunities.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Revenue collection and management in the district assemblies is a perennial feature of all Auditor General reports and subject of Public Accounts Committee hearings. Would you recommend a common electronic payments platform for ministries, departments, and agencies, which the ministry or the minister and yourselves can monitor and intervene if things are going out of hand? Mindful of the fact that the Ministry of Communications would also exist to facilitate such.
I think that is a very worthwhile proposition to pursue. If we are able to do that, then we'll cut away the leakages that we have in the system. I think that some district assemblies have put some arrangements like that in place to be able to capture information on the payments. Even if you look at our budget, the budget for 2017, district assemblies, in terms of the amounts of money that they are expected to generate, have all been captured in the budget. So if we are able to get some platform put in place, and with your support, we should be able to cut away these wastages and other things that we have in the system.
We would be very happy to assist you in this endeavor.